not going to do the wind thing. Wind, big ugly windmills, they ruin your neighborhood, they ruin you. If you have a house that's near a windmill, guess what? Your house is worth less than half.
As the political winds in Washington shift, cities like Austin are bracing for impact. Collaborating with our media partners at The Hill in a project supported by the Pulitzer Center, KXAN investigator Matt Grant is examining this renewed pushback and what it could mean for renewable regulation in Texas.
Yes, the country is at a crossroads when it comes to energy policy. With Texas relying heavily on wind and solar, there's now new concern from some about the way forward. In a state where everything's bigger,
solar is magic, right?
Texas has long touted its #1 status as a renewable energy leader.
We're by a substantial margin the largest wind energy producing state in the country.
So these solar panels, if the sun is shining, even on a day like today, they're generating electricity.
Texas takes an all-the-above approach to energy policy, not shared by the White House these days.
We will drill, baby, drill.
On his first day back in office for a second term, President Trump signed an executive order pausing new wind projects on federal land and water over concerns it degrades natural landscapes and fails to serve energy consumers. This comes as Texas, the only state in the continental U.S. with its own power grid, ERCOT, not reliant on the rest of the country, is increasingly using renewables. According to ERCOT data, on a mid-February afternoon, wind and solar accounted for half of all of Texas's energy supply. In Austin, it's around the same at 49%, harnessed by nearly 20 locations from the Panhandle to West Texas to the Gulf Coast. We headed south to see for ourselves. At over 15,000, Texas has more wind turbines than any other state. This one behind me near Corpus Christi on your way to the coast helps power Austin 3 hours away. An hour north in conservative B County, we met Roy Velasquez. So you really can see them.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty clearly.
Yes, sir. There are a bunch of them.
His backyard overlooks a sprawling wind farm, but it's not the view that bothers him. And what do you think staring out at them? Does it bother you?
They don't bother me, but they're not helping me on anything.
So if there's a benefit, you just personally haven't seen it?
Yes, sir.
Now, how many homes can a project like this power?
This one is about 140,000 homes.
Across the way, Jeff Clark says overall, customers are benefiting from wind turbines like these through lower electric bills. This solar and wind farm feeds power into the Texas grid.
Texas is blessed with oil, gas, sun, wind, really all of the above, as we say. And we believe in building all of them. Frankly, that's the most conservative thing you can do, is produce your own energy.
Clark is president of the Advanced Power Alliance, a trade association based in Austin that promotes development and investment in renewable energy.
Not everyone has oil and gas under their feet, but everyone has wind and sun over their heads.
Like most solar and wind farms in Texas, the private land where this one's located is leased and unaffected by the president's executive order.
I'm concerned about the immediate future.
Still, in this political climate, Clark worries about the potential for a scale back of renewables and what that would mean for Texas and America's ability to remain competitive globally. President Trump has talked about dead birds, about property values going down. How is your industry going to handle that moving forward?
I would extend an invitation to anybody in the administration to come out and visit this project with us if they would like. I think a lot of the rhetoric attacking clean energy is because it works so well. People see it as a threat. They see it as competition.
The Americans need abundant, affordable energy.
Clark is no stranger to the state capitol and plans to testify again this session. We found more than a dozen bills that could affect renewable energy regulation, taxation, and expansion.
We have to take a look at renewables.
Among them, Senate Bill 819, filed by Republican Senator Lois Kolkhorst and already referred to the Chamber's Business and Commerce Committee. If passed, her measure would increase regulation and permitting rules for wind and solar.
Texas leads the country in renewable energy. Why add red tape to make it harder for wind and solar industries to operate?
Okay, so tap the brakes there. We're number one in solar and we're number one in wind. And we know that this is not a reliable resource. And it's also causing a strain on some of our resources. You cannot put solar panels over thousands of acres and not think that there is not a natural resource issue out there. It's not red tape. It is a protection for landowners. It is the right thing to do for Texas.
Along with a permit from the Public Utilities Commission, Colcourse wants to require future projects to have public input and environmental and wildlife impact reviews.
I support President Trump in saying, let's put a pause on this. Let's make sure that we know where it's going. And I certainly don't want to, as a coastal lawmaker, see them out in our bays and estuaries of these big windmills.
Her bill could require those windmills be at least 3,000 feet from any property line, compared to less than 500 for oil well drilling. State lawmakers have focused a lot of attention on energy in recent years. In 2021, freezing temps caused rolling blackouts, with more than 4.5 million homes losing power. Some experts worry a renewable scale-back could further strain Texas's grid, which already faces record demand.
That's effectively almost doubling the peak demand of the ERCOT grid in about 6 years. So it's a really significant impact.
How best to address it will be a fight continuing to fuel debate.
We're number one in wind, number one in solar. I'm not sure that's something to brag about.
Here in the capital, Austin Energy is the city's electric provider, which you mentioned gets half of its supply from wind and solar. What does it have to say?
Well, that it has a long history of leading Texas in renewable energy investments, telling us in a statement, with the projected growth in local and statewide energy demand over the next decade, renewables will continue to be essential in meeting the energy needs of our community and maintaining a reliable energy grid.
And that's an important point, not just for Austin, but as you said, the entire state.
Yes, the director of the Energy Institute at UT Austin says solar and wind are reliable and necessary to keep the Texas grid running.
Is wind energy needed to keep the grid stable?
Yeah, absolutely. Over 25% of the power capacity is wind right now. You can't just take away a fourth of the grid.
And Josh, of course, will continue to track Senator Colcourse's bill along with any other White House actions that could impact Texas.
Yes, and you can also check out our interactive map that shows a breakdown of how Austin gets its energy, including the amount from wind and solar. It's online in this story in the investigative section of KXAN.com right now.